In a move that's turning heads globally, Canadian provinces have excluded U.S. banks from managing their latest bond deals. For the first time since 2011, American financial institutions have been sidelined in Canadian bond markets. Ontario issued $2 billion in 10-year U.S. dollar bonds, led by Barclays and major Canadian banks, while Alberta adopted a similar approach. This wasn't an oversight, it was a calculated response to U.S. trade policies, sending shockwaves through Wall Street. By turning to European banks, Canada is signaling a willingness to form new alliances and reduce reliance on U.S. financial systems. This move reshapes North American finance and sets a precedent for other countries facing geopolitical tensions. Canada's assertiveness in protecting its economic sovereignty marks a shift toward a more multipolar financial future. The exclusion of U.S. banks is rooted in ongoing trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada. Tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, imposed under the guise of national security, have strained Canadian industries and cost jobs. U.S. policies in the electric vehicle sector have further penalized Canadian manufacturers. In response, Canada is reshaping its financial alliances, using the bond deals as a strategic countermeasure. This move signals that economic interdependence is a two-way street, and Canada is prepared to retaliate when its interests are threatened. By diversifying partnerships, Canada is asserting its independence amid rising U.S. protectionism. Canada's diversification of financial partnerships is a direct response to unpredictable U.S. trade policies. By strengthening ties with Europe and Asia, Canada aims to reduce its economic dependence on the U.S. and shield itself from political shocks. European banks like Barclays and Deutsche Bank are now underwriting Canadian bond deals and investing in sectors such as green technology and energy. Canadian pension funds and financial institutions are quietly reducing exposure to U.S. dollars, favoring euros and yen. This trend points to a more balanced global financial system where no single market dominates. Canada's diversified strategy signals adaptability and resilience in a changing world. It ensures the country remains competitive and prepared for global uncertainties. Friendshoring has become central to Canada's economic restructuring. This strategy revises public contract rules to favor suppliers from Canada or allied nations, reducing geopolitical risks. Provincial governments now prioritize local job creation and strategic partnerships over lowest-cost bids, giving Canadian and European firms an edge. U.S. firms are losing out on major Canadian contracts, highlighting the impact of this shift. Friendshoring isn't just a reaction to trade tensions, it's a fundamental change in how Canada approaches economic partnerships. By focusing on allied countries, Canada is building a more stable and resilient economic future. Canada's shift to diversification and friendshoring is already reshaping industries and investments. Ontario is competing with U.S. states for electric vehicle investments by courting European and Asian automakers. Alberta is seeking new investors and export markets in Europe and Asia, especially for energy transition projects. Canadian tech startups are increasingly turning to Europe for funding, wary of U.S. political risks. This trend is transforming the tech sector and encouraging new global alliances. Canadian banks and pension funds are holding fewer U.S. dollars, reflecting a move toward a multipolar financial world. The U.S. dollar's dominance is no longer a given as Canada adapts to new realities. Canada's new economic strategy marks a turning point in its relationship with the U.S. While not a complete break, it's a significant rebalancing of economic ties. Canada is shifting from junior partner to independent actor in North America, with lasting implications. Deep economic integration won't disappear overnight, but Canada is preparing for a future with less U.S. reliance. This strategy protects Canadian interests in a complex global environment. Some sectors may face challenges, but others will benefit from new partnerships and innovation. The exclusion of U.S. banks is just the start of a broader shift in Canada's economic approach. The era of taking the U.S.-Canada partnership for granted is over. A new phase is underway.